Hola, once again from Mexico. I'm Bob Henderson. I'm the Nomad Dad for the Nomad Capitalist. And I got to thinking not too long ago, most of us, if you're watching, you're probably pretty disgusted with the things that you see in society over the last 18 to 24 months. If you go back 2 years, would you have imagined a lot of what has happened over the last 2 years would have happened, whether you were in the US or you were in Canada or you were in Great Britain, Australia, for heaven's sakes, New Zealand, all these legacy brand countries, as Andrew calls them. I guarantee most of us would not have guessed that it would have gotten to where it has gotten. And that in the name of safety, a lot of people would be willing to give up their rights. And a lot of politicians would say, well, this is a health emergency. Civil liberties really don't matter. So we don't need to debate that. But it's gotten me to thinking, and this is just an academic exercise. I'm not a utopian. There is no nirvana. But I thought, if we could start a country of our own from scratch, what would it look like? And I got to thinking, well, would it be like the United States in the sense that we had a bicameral legislature and an executive with a third branch, the court, who's supposed to be apolitical? Unfortunately, they've become anything but over the last 50 years or so, which I think is a big problem in the United States. It's contributed to a lot of the problems. But I got to thinking, should we do that, or should we be more of a parliamentary system like they have in Great Britain, Canada, or the other aforementioned legacy brand countries? And I thought, then I had to chuckle. I thought, do you ever watch, it's on C-SPAN or something like that, when the British Prime Minister goes up to the House of Commons and he speaks and they all get to question him. Could you imagine President Joe Biden taking questions from the other congressmen and senators, like the members of parliament? Because he's not allowed to speak off the cuff by his handlers. I think that would be better than Saturday Night Live, any comedian on Netflix or what have you. That would be hysterical. But would a parliamentary form of government make more sense? I don't know. I don't think that the parliamentarians are doing it. I think Bojo over in the UK has been horrible. Right of center, he's raising taxes to the highest level in peacetime, mainly to prop up the National Health Service, which is a disaster. It doesn't work, but we're going to throw more money after it. Look at Canada, and the woke prime minister there just recently got reelected. The prime minister in Australia, for heaven's sakes. I was really beginning to think they were doing some wonderful things not too long ago. Look at them. And the prime minister over in New Zealand, a place that we first thought we might want to move 25 years ago. I mean, it's just awful. So what would I do if I were starting my own country? Could be parliamentary form of government, could be like we have in the United States. But I guarantee you one thing, there would be term limits. You cannot stay in Washington or Canberra or the House of Lords or Ottawa, Canada, you name it, Auckland. Well, that's not the capital. It's not, but Wellington is. But in New Zealand, but you cannot stay more than a certain period of time. I mean, after all, in this country, the president, 8 years. You've got to have term limits. And oh, by the way, you can't go back and be a lobbyist. And oh, by the way, if you're an attorney, which most of them are, you can't go join a law firm that lobbies the government. No, you have to go back and work in the system that you helped to shape. I'll never forget former presidential candidate George McGovern ran in 1972 against Richard Nixon, got obliterated. I think he lost 49 states. And he then was in the Senate for a number of years after that, continued with his seat there. But then he left. And he founded a business. I think he was like Bob Newhart, one of those New England bed and breakfast type places that. And he went bankrupt. And his comment was, boy, if I would have known what the rules were when I went into business, I might have legislated a little differently when I was in the government. Now, what a wonderful comment from a very liberal senator. And that is so true. These people have got to go back and live in the system that they helped create, and they cannot influence it through lobbying or through the law firms that they're in. To me, this would be one of the biggest things that I would do. I would have an education system where we would not be politically oriented. I'm going to teach you to think critically. Here are the facts, just the facts, ma'am, as the guy on Dragnet said back in the 1960s. Was that Jack Webb, I believe, on that dry television series, cop show. But we're going to teach you to think critically, and you make up your mind for yourself. We're going to ask you to excel to the best of your ability. We are not going to stick our leg out and trip the people at the top as they try to run the race, just so that we can make the people at the bottom feel better. No, we're going to raise the people from the bottom. We're going to have higher expectations. We're going to have higher expectations of their parents to help educate them, to get them to school, to make sure that they do their work, so on and so forth. And we're not going to require that people go to college. So maybe there's something in a trade that they can learn in the 10th grade. Teach them that way. Not everybody should be going to college to learn, as it is today, mostly nonsense. If you're going to be in a position where you need to go to the university and get higher learning, that's different. Doctor, lawyer, engineer, those kinds of things. That's a totally different story. But I don't think that this country is better off with more college graduates today. They're just a lot more in debt. And I don't think they've learned any more, have any more skills. So I think the education is extremely important. We're going to focus on entrepreneurialism. Not everybody's an entrepreneur. You have to understand that. But we're not going to kneecap entrepreneurs. We're going to have a social safety net, but welfare is not going to be a way of life. It's going to be a hand up, not a handout. You know, it wasn't that long ago that Democratic presidents in the United States were saying the same thing. Even Obama did early in his term, and Bill Clinton for sure did when he signed welfare legislation in the mid-90s with a work requirement. And it worked. So those are the kinds of things I do. I know it may sound a little utopian, but my goodness, for one thing, we've got to have term limits. And we've got to have a citizen involved, whether it's on a state, local level, federal level. Let the citizens get involved. Encourage them to get involved. So what do you think? Love to see your comments below. Good to have you this time. I'm Bob Henderson. I'm the Nomad Dad for the Nomad Capitalist.
Don't stop now. We've got well over 1,000 more videos here on YouTube for you to watch and learn how to go where you're treated best. And if you want to work with Nomad Capitalist personally, go to nomadcapitalist.com/apply, learn about our unique, tried and true process, garnered over years of experience, and learn how you can become our client.